Live.
Well, you are supposed to be doing the introduction.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Okay. So, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining the Hangout. Um, I'm sure most of us have been following the Facebook discussion on uh, one template implementations, and Wing, Wing and I decided to organize this Hangout to discuss his implementation. So with that, I will pass it to Wing and let him talk about his implementation.
Thank you, Eric. Okay, first of all, I would like to say something about the format of the presentation uh, regarding questions, for example. Um, I want to insist on one thing, okay? Today, I am not going to talk about details, especially the technical side of the implementation. Please pardon me, okay? I'm dodging all the questions related to technical points. The reason being this. Last week, Eric and I had a detailed discussion, well, actually 3 sessions on the technical side of the one template, one region implementation. And the whole discussion lasted for more than 5 hours. So if I'm to like to answer any questions on technical like details, first, I won't be able to stop. Second, it will last forever, and I won't be able to like to finish the presentation today. So I would rather ask you guys, I mean, if you have any technical questions like how to write velocity code, how to do code templates, and so on and so forth, please refer to my tutorial site and the recordings of the technical discussion. So again, I won't be answering any questions related to, for example, how to use evaluate, for example. Instead, I would focus on the conceptual side of it. So I would explain things like how it works at a very high level description, like how things are, like how they work, like conceptually, how things are tied together, without getting too bogged down by the details. That's the approach I want to adopt. But other than that, any questions from the audience are welcome. Meaning, if you think, okay, you have a questions about I'm not talking about the technical side, okay. Anything other than technical questions, you're welcome to raise them anytime you want. If it is relevant to the discussion at the moment, I will try to answer them. If it's not, then I'll wait until the end of the presentation to answer all the questions gathered at the end. I hope I can finish the presentation within 90 minutes or so that to leave you enough time to ask your questions and for me to answer them. Well, at least I'll try to answer all of them. First, I want to point to 2 sites. One is my site, Cascade Admin. If you are familiar with the site, then you can go there and look at. Well, I need to share the screen first. So I'm sharing my screen, and I want to point you to my site if you are interested. This is the Cascade Admin site. The URL reads www.upstate.edu and then /cascade-admin. That's my site. And you can find today's agenda on the right-hand side, one template, one region webinars. So if you click that, you see 2 collapsible sessions. The first one contains today's agenda. The other site I want to get your attention to is the GitHub site. So if you go to github.com/wingmingchan, you can find all the code and the 2 two site like files, okay, export files from Cascade, the common assets .csse and the reads the RWD seed site. I will talk about in details, okay, the common assets sites. This is what I call the master site. So these two sites provide you, for example, the documentation, the actual implementation of the master site, and with the reusable velocity code library. Today I'm going to talk about what I call the standard model. Let me first define what this term means, okay? It's my own, like, well, I coined the term, okay, the standard model. First is a way of using Cascade, and I claim currently this is the best way of using Cascade. I will try to justify this claim toward the end of the presentation, but for the moment, please bear with me, okay? Just call it the standard model. There are three keys to understand and to use the standard model. These three keys are the concept of a master site and site configuration. That's the first key. And I will briefly talk about this, but I won't like dwell on the details because I will refer you to like other presentations and my website to look at what I mean, okay, by site configuration. And then the second key to the entire concept is the use of web services. Again, I won't talk about web services like in great details because this presentation is not about web services. If you are interested, check out my website again. And actually, there's an ongoing Google Hangout sessions in which we've been like talking about web services and like how to write code to work with Cascade using web services. The third key to the implementation is velocity and the evaluate directive. Again, as I told you right at the beginning, okay, I won't talk about details. I won't even like write code to show you how evaluate works. But I will assume, okay, when you have time, if you are still interested, you can like check out how to write code using evaluate. In my site, you can find a velocity tutorial in which chapter 11, I talk about evaluate in great details. And I also talk about evaluate in the recordings of the technical details of the implementation with Erik. So if you are interested in the evaluate directive, please check my website and check the recordings of the technical details. Now, I just want to say something briefly about XSLT. I don't know how to like use XSLT to make my approach work. If I'm to use XSLT alone, I truly believe it's possible, but I also truly believe even if it is possible, the end result will be extremely clumsy, extremely dirty, and extremely large. I don't have much to say, okay? I love to say, okay, it's impossible for XSLT to do what I have achieved, but I'm not 100% sure. And I do believe it might be possible. So I will leave this to the audience, and if you have any idea, if you have any thought about this, or if you like want to try it, you're more than welcome. And please keep me informed if you succeed. Okay, next, because I told you, okay, the standard model is about how to use Cascade efficiently. So I need to talk about like how I use Cascade in the last 4 years or so. I started looking at Cascade around, I would say around like March 4 years ago in 2012. Back then, I didn't even like have Cascade. I didn't have the software. So I started just like reading the articles in the Hannon Hill site, the knowledge base. I started reading things like what blocks are, how to deal with templates, and so on and so forth. And when Upstate got the software in May, we installed Cascade, and I started like using it. Strange enough, okay, I didn't take any training courses from Hannon Hill. I just like jumped right in and then like started using Cascade with the knowledge I gained from my reading. But then something really strange happened because I wasn't really like trained by anyone. I tend to like do things in my own way, and actually this shows. Actually, 3 months after we started with Cascade, well, I went to the first conference, the first Cascade conference in 2012, and then I attended a session by Jay Mercer. He talked about how to use like the template level format, and then like how to move things around. This is the high show mechanism. And actually, it gave me a very good hint on like how to like manage the so-called like site configuration that I talked about 1 year after that. So the first 15 months or so, I like focused on, well, I put my attention onto one single issue, how to deal with site configuration. And the end result was my presentation in 2013, using block choosers, using configuration blocks to deal with site configuration. And I want to emphasize today's topic is like, well, site configuration is like highly relevant to today's topic. And if you are interested in the site configuration, please refer to first, okay, Jay Mercer's 2 presentations, one in 2012, one in 2015, and also my presentation in 2013. Okay, I won't like talk about the details on this topic. We've been like using the so-called non-responsive design for a few years, and while we've been using this, well, why I have been using this, there's one constant issue that keep like occupying my mind. The issue is, how do I reduce the number of assets? How do I reduce the number of, for example, templates? The non-responsive design is still in use. We still have like a lot of sites using this design. There are about 5-6 different templates in the design. Each template has, I would say, around like 15 to 20 regions. That's what I hate. Okay, I kept thinking, okay, how do I reduce everything? Okay, first, okay, down to one template, and if ever possible, reduce the number of like regions in each template or in a single template, so that I don't have like too many regions. But before November last year, I didn't really like dreamt about reducing everything to one region. Okay, I still like well, before November last year, I believed I had to have at least 2 regions, one for site configuration, one for default. But when Kat, okay, of Hannon Hill, like asked the question, okay, besides like Upstate and another university, who else can like, or who else like planned to like adopt the one template approach? Right then, November 23rd last year, I decided, okay, probably I should like look at my design again and see what I can do to reduce like the number of regions in my single template, so that I can well get down to like well, the best is like 1 region, but there, okay, in November, I wasn't sure this is even possible. So I would say, okay, can I reduce everything to 2? Okay, that was my initial question. But eventually, when things like get rolling and like the design evolved along like the way of like reducing regions, finally I figured out, okay, well, it's possible to reduce everything down to 1 region. So I will talk about that, okay, in a few moments. The timeline is roughly this. Before last November, I used the multiple template, multiple region design, and then it's reduced to like one single template with like multiple regions, about like 9 of them, and then the 9 regions, okay, like were reduced to like down to 6, and then down to 5, and by like this February, I mean February of this year, I succeeded in reducing everything down to 1 region. So now all the upstate responsive sites are driven by this single template. Okay, 1 template with only 1 region inside. In a second, I'm going to show you these sites. Before I do the demo, I also want to briefly say something about how I approach velocity. I would say for normal users of Cascade, I'm just guessing, okay? I always say do things like slightly differently. I'm just guessing. Normally, when someone like approaches Cascade, they'll do something like this, okay? If they decide to like use, for example, velocity, they'll, okay, start with a simple site, create some blocks, and then like, well, start with a simple format to transform the block data into like something presentable. So they would like start with a simple format with probably like some simple lines of code, and then after a while, okay, when they feel confident and then they like accumulate enough code, they might like think, okay, probably we should start with like macros so that we can like abstract code out and group them together, and then we can reuse the code. And after a while, okay, when someone like feels more comfortable, like Elvin, they'll probably like, okay, start a tutorial site just to like as a reference or as like a means, okay, to teach other people how to use velocity. And if they still like feel comfortable, like after that, beyond that, they might want to like get into some more advanced topics. If you ask me, okay, I did it in a completely wrong order, in the sense that I did it in absolute reverse order. Of course, okay, I have to like start with some basics first. But before May 2014, the release of Cascade 7.10.1, there was a bug in 7.10 and before, okay, preventing me from using velocity at all. So I'm saying before, well, 2 years ago, okay, I wasn't able to use velocity at all. So velocity was out, and for 2 whole years I was like stuck with XSLT, and I built a very rich XSLT library to deal with blocks and so on. So I didn't need velocity at all for 2 years. After the introduction, well, the availability of Cascade 7.10.1, velocity became available to me. But then I didn't want to like go back and rewrite all my formats from XSLT to velocity. It's kind of like pointless, okay, for me. So instead I decided, okay, to look at velocity. Well, look at some areas, okay, that no one really cared, or something really. I'm not sure whether they are useful, but at least it was like of interest to me. So I started looking at like the most advanced features of velocity, like querying the database directly, using JSP pages to expose the Cascade API, web services, and even XSLT invocation using velocity. That was the topic of my last year's presentation. So I started with the most advanced features of velocity right at the beginning. And then right after last year's conference, after that meaning September, the end of September, early October, I decided, okay, well, I could talk about like the advanced velocity, but somehow I also want to become a master of velocity. So I need to like tackle the basic parts. I need to tackle, okay, how to do usual things, okay, instead of like doing crazy things like querying the database. So to do this, I started my tutorial site. In September, I started a tutorial site. In October, I also started my reusable library, the Velocity library. And actually, this started formally. It started a bit earlier. I talked to Elvin, okay, during the conference, and I asked him like how I should approach this problem, how to like build a reusable code library, and he gave me some idea. I didn't adopt his suggestion, but somehow that got me started with the library. And with the tutorial roughly built, and then the library kind of finished in November. Okay, when Kat asked the question, it triggered me. Okay, to think. Okay, well, probably it's time really to sit down and build a site using Velocity exclusively. That's how I started. And honestly, this is the only site that I have ever built, okay, using Velocity. But to remind you, okay, when I started building this site, I already have some advanced tools with me. I also have a very like detailed tutorial site. I also have a reusable library with me. So when I built my site, okay, this master site, I can use a lot of like strange means to achieve what I want to achieve. So in a second, I'm going to show you the site, but don't be surprised, okay, to see a lot of like ideas that you may not feel comfortable with. I also want to like talk about briefly, okay, the goal of the design, why I did that. Well, of course, everybody like wants to find out how like to do the one region, one template, one region. Okay, how to like implement that idea. But I would like to like put forward something a bit bigger than this first. The design is driven by one principle, the principle, what I call the principle of minimalism. There are two sides of the same coin. Okay, first, I want to minimize the number of assets, the number of regions, the number of like, lines of code in the implementation. And I've been like working toward this goal for almost 4 years now. So my constant concern is how do I reduce, okay, the number of assets, okay, the number of the amount of code, for example. Of course, okay, if you like try to reduce everything, then you have to maximize the other side of the coin, meaning maximizing reusability. So on the one hand, I have to be like careful. Whenever I write a line of code, I always ask myself, do I really need this line of code? If I need this line of code, how am I going to turn it into something reusable? I constantly ask this type of questions. So with this principle in mind, I want to like bring up the one template, one region approach. I want to emphasize one thing. The end result of this implementation is extremely small. It is so small that I can actually write a web service program to generate the entire master site. Actually, Erik tried that out, and I believe it works for him. But I'll come back to this later. But there's one important reason, okay, I want to bring up right now. Why we want to like reduce everything to one template, one region. Well, first, I want to like answer the question how it's implemented first. Okay, I used block choosers to replace regions. So the reason why I use this, okay, why I like opt for the one template, one region approach is this. If you use block choosers to replace regions, block choosers are more flexible to work with. They are, for example, you can like control the access, who can access a certain block chooser, who can access a certain group. You can like group them any way you want. You can label them any way you want, and you can order them any way you want. So block choosers are a lot more flexible, actually a lot more flexible than regions. So I can use like block choosers to replace any number of regions. But then the next question will be, I mean, how? How do you like use a block chooser to replace a region? Well, we'll come to the details in a second. Okay.
So Wayne, just to clarify,
Yep.
So when you say one template, um, you're talking, or one region, you're talking about the regions in the outputs tab, but you're saying that you still have multiple regions, but you're just using block choosers. You're using the data definition essentially.
Okay, in a second, I'm going to show you the site, okay? Actually, there are several things I want to show you. First, there are actually more than one template in the site. There are like 3 templates, one not in use. But the other 2 templates, okay, one contains multiple regions, one containing only one region. What I've been trying to tell you is, I can use the one region template to drive anything I want, although my site allows you to have another template with multiple regions inside. If you focus on the one region template, then you can find a lot of block choosers in the data definition associated with the configuration set. So if you just focus on that part, then we have one template, one region, and a page using this template has a lot of block choosers inside. And I'm using those block choosers to replace regions. Did I answer your question?
Well, I'll sort of, yeah. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, we'll keep coming back to this topic again and again. Okay. I also want to bring up one issue. My approach actually will kind of force you to use block choosers instead of using the WYSIWYG. Well, the so-called monolithic WYSIWYG. We'll see some examples later, okay? Especially if we have time, okay? I might talk about Persona, for example. But I just want to wrap up the introduction part by saying this. My implementation of the master site is extremely clean, and the resulting site is extremely small. Well, easy to use, I don't know, okay? But I'm just saying, it's clean, it's small, and it's flexible, it's powerful, okay? And I'll stop here, okay, for the introduction part. Next, I want to well, showcase what the master site can do. Before I show you the demos, okay? I want to remind you, okay? When I say the master site, I mean this. There's a single site in our Cascade instance. This is the production instance, okay? There's a site called Common Assets. This is the master site. When I say master site, I mean this. This site controls all other sites in the sense that if you look at templates, if you look at configuration sets, content types, formats, data definitions, and so on, they are all defined in this site. One single site contains all of them. All other sites driven by this site, they don't have any data definition. Well, unless we're talking about highly customized ones, okay, used in a single site maybe, okay, but right now not yet. So if you are looking for formats, you won't find any formats in other sites, okay, except my Cascade. I mean, because I need to use it to test a lot of things. But if you look at other responsive sites, you don't see formats, you don't see data definitions, you don't see configuration sets, you don't see content types, you see nothing of that kind anywhere other than this site. So this is what I meant, okay, by using one single site, the master site, to drive everything else. Okay, let us start with my Cascade admin site. Well, let me just pull up some pages, okay, just to show you. For example, I'm just pulling up some pages, okay, and to show you. This is one of the pages of my Cascade admin site. If you click outputs, okay, you see one region only, the default, nothing else. But just to show you the page again, you see, for example, branding information, the left menu, there's no right column. But if you look at the index page, I believe there should be a right column. Normally, I have a right column for index. Yeah. So you see the right column here, and this right column actually comes from this right column block. Let us just look at some other pages, okay? Using reflection, for example. So just want to like make sure, okay, we are looking at pages, okay, using one, well, there's only one. We just like bring up this part, okay. Please pay attention to the configuration set. It's in common assets, okay, the master site, and the configuration set's name is RWD1 region. So constantly you should be like seeing this again and again, and the template is called like RWD1 region, okay, corresponding to this one. So in my entire site, okay, all the pages, I'm talking about all the live pages, are hooked up with this template. I just like check some pages to show you, okay? They are all hooked up with this RWD1 region. Now let me go to another site. So let us go to, for example, accelerator. Accelerator. This is another responsive site. This site has its own theme, okay, the look and feel is different than what we saw in Cascade Admin. Actually, Cascade Admin also has a theme. We'll see a third site, okay, with the default look and feel. But let us just like check this page. Again, okay, it's hooked up with RWD1 region, and there's only one region here. Now I want to show you a default look and feel. I want to show you stroke. This is the default look and feel of our design. It's like dark blue in the header, and then the logo is like Upstate Medical University instead of the clinical look. Okay, Upstate University Hospital. So we have like 3 different look and feels, and they are all hooked up with this one single configuration set. Okay, so this is the well, I hope, okay, to have like proven to you, okay, I am using one single template to drive all these sites. Actually, Eric gave me an idea, okay, last time. Why don't we just like look at the content type of this page, okay? So let us look at the content type, and then we look at the relationship. So all the pages using this content type, okay, there are more than 1,000 of them, and about like 900 pages are from my site. So just want to like make sure you are convinced, okay, all the pages you have seen are driven by one single template. Well, one content type, this one, okay, RWD1 region. Next, I want to show you something simple, okay? Something simple meaning because I'm trying to avoid running into technical issues, okay? So this will be extremely brief. I just want to like show you something simple. I have 2 test pages here. Let me pump up the font size a little so that you can like see what I'm doing here. I have a page, okay, this page hooked up with this template, sorry, this format. So I'll bring up the format in the next tab, and I want to bring up this format. I will write some simple code on the format and show you the result on this page, okay, because they have been already hooked up. Also notice, okay, this page has multiple regions inside. So if you check output, okay, there are like 9 regions inside. This configuration set is called Common Assets RWD, okay, not the one region one. Actually, this is a good time to point out one thing. My standard model allows you to have 2 separate templates side by side. They are all driven by the same core code, but you are allowed to have regions. That's very important. What I'm trying to say is this. My standard model allows you to keep old things as well as doing new things. And you can transition from something old to something new. You can like have them coexisting side by side. This is approved, okay? This also like these 2 pages are hooked up with the same core. So I can like demo you like the core, okay? The velocity code. So here I'm going to write some code just to show you a little bit of my library, okay? let me just like pull up the XML of the calling page block. So I want to view the XML. Come on. Okay, I'm going to retrieve this system page element and do something with it, okay? So, well, I'm writing normal code here, okay? So set page, okay? And then I will use content root to retrieve the system page element. Okay, no big deal. This is just a page element. But to prove that, okay, now I just want to make sure. I will do this, okay? I will just like print out the name of the page just to make sure I'm reading something. So I expect to see system page. Okay, it's right here. Now, let me call a macro from my library. So I am calling process system page, and I need to put in the pound sign. Oh no, the hash sign. Yeah, the pound sign, the hash sign. And I plug in the page object. Okay, so I'm calling a macro from my library, and then I'm feeding in a page element. Now, from this point on, all these elements, okay, let me just bring up the XML again. All these elements each have a corresponding variable storing the value. For example, let me just like bring up author, for example, okay? So I will print out system page author, okay? I'll print the BR. The BR is also defined in my library, so I can use something like this. So I want to see the author test. System, there must be something wrong with the variable name. System page author, let me see. I'll need to go to Cascade SS, and then I need to look at global values and system page, where is it? System file folder, system page author. There's no system page author. Why? It's not defined. I may have missed it. Okay, let us try a system page name instead. How can I miss it? Okay, let's see if we can see the name. I also need to print out a new line here so that we have two separate lines. Okay, index. Now, let me try another one. Let me look at the XML again. Let's try path, okay? So path should be /index. So let us add another variable here. System page path. So what I'm trying to show you is this. If you use my library, the reusable core library, if you like, well, look at the code, the macros provided to you. I have provided you, for example, this macro, okay, to process a system page object, well, a system page element. Once you like call the macro, all the variables, okay, well, author is missing. All the variables like are defined somewhere in the library and like storing the corresponding values. So you can like jump to the values right away without like dealing with like select single node and then like escaping the XML and so on and so forth. Everything is already done behind the scene.
Hey, Wayne.
Yep.
Quick question from John Phillips.
Yep.
How is the common assets index block calling page setup?
Page setup. You mean which page setup are we talking about?
You know what? I'm pasting his question
Okay.
into the group chat.
Yeah.
Because maybe the wording of it
might
make more sense.
It.
And if it's too technical, then let us know.
Again, probably this is related to like how to write the code. Let us like put this aside for the moment, and we can like come back to this later.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Enough like demo for the code. Okay. As I said, okay, I shouldn't have like even come into this part. Okay. The next thing, I want to like show something slightly differently. Okay. This is about automatic macro invocation. So let me start with something simple, okay? Let's see. I want to create a new data definition. Can anyone give me one simple word? Anyone? Eric Walker, would you please give me a word, a simple word?
But before you do, Eric, unmute your mic. There you go.
Yes. A simple word, huh?
Yeah, any word.
Day.
T-H-E-Y, right?
Oh, D-A-Y is what I was
D-A-Y. Okay. D-A-Y.
Or day.
Okay. Someone else. Okay. Give me another word. Anyone?
Cat.
Cat. How do I spell it?
C-A-T.
C-A-T, right?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Day cat. Okay. So we have this new data definition, okay? But instead of like writing code, I'll just like copy, okay? And let me copy which one? It doesn't matter. Okay, let me copy this one. So let me copy, and this one should be called a cat. Okay, I'm going to modify the XML inside, and I'm going to call this, okay, day cat. Okay, so the default value should be day dash cat. Okay, in the block type part, and I'm going to call the group, okay, inside this data definition, day cat group. I'll explain, okay, what is going on with the code, okay, in a second. But let me just like finish the demo first. So I changed two things, okay. Well, I basically like use day cat here. I use day cat here, okay. So let me just submit and save the data definition. Next, I want to create a block and call it day cat. I will go to blocks and then data, and then I'm going to create a block here in this folder. Because it's new, okay, so I don't bother with the metadata set, okay. I just like create a block using the default metadata set. So let me call it day cat test, for example, test. And I want to like hook it up with the new data definition, day cat. Now I'm going to plug this block into a test page, okay? So let me plug it into this page. Now let me repeat what I did, okay? First, I created a data definition called daycat with some information like plug into it. Second, I created a block called daycat test. Third, I plugged the block into a page. Now look at what this block does, okay? This is actually an invocation of a macro called process daycat, and the system data structure is passed into this macro. I will explain what is going on, okay? Let us try another one. This time I'm going to create a feed block, let's say, okay? And I'll use daycat as the name, okay? So I'm going to create a feed block. And I'm going to call it daycat feed, okay? Daycat, oops. And well, it can go to Google, let's say. Now I'm going to plug this daycat feed. Well, don't mind this one, okay? Because google.com is not really a feed. So let us like plug this block in somewhere. Doesn't matter where. Just want to plug it in. Again, okay, I created a feed block using daycat feed as the name. And where is it? Wait 1 second. Did I save it? Daycat feed. Oh, it's saved, but it doesn't show up. It's missing. Process daycat feed is supposed to show up somewhere. I don't know. Let me just try this page. Daycat feed. Page name is not defined. Oh, that's the previous code. But daycat feed doesn't show up. Okay, I apologize. This one doesn't work, but I promise you, okay, last time when I ran it with Eric, it worked. So let us just forget about this one. Okay, I want to like say something about what we saw with respect to data definition blocks, okay? When we created a data definition and then created a block related to, well, hooked up with the data definition, the moment when I hook this up, okay, the block with a page, a macro is invoked automatically. And this is supposed to work for all other block types, okay? I don't know why I failed here. I'll look at it, okay, later. Next, I want to show you, site configuration. Let us go to Accelerator, and I want to copy a page, okay, from this site, and then put it into Stroke, for example. Just want to make sure we understand each other. I'm picking a page here. Well, this is a new page, not launched, probably. Media, let me see. Oh, maybe this folder is not used. Let me go to some other folders. Doesn't matter. Whoa, large image. I want to avoid that. This is a form. Okay, never mind. Let us use this page. So I'm going to copy this page and paste it into the site of Stroke, okay? But before I do that, I want to like highlight something, okay? A page like this, okay, in this site has a green header with a specific logo belonging to this site only, and the Upstate logo is on the right-hand side. And well, this image will stick because it belongs to the page. So let me make a copy. This is called index, so I have to copy it somewhere. No, I have to rename it. So index 1, okay? And I'm going to paste it into Stroke. So let us go to Stroke, and I'm going to put it right in the root, okay, this page. Now look at the look and feel, okay? Well, the page content remains the same, okay? But look at the header. It's blue now, and it shows the default Upstate logo, no logo on this side. And notice, okay, the left navigational mean of the left column, okay, actually is the left column of Stroke, not the left column of Accelerator. This is what I meant by site configuration. So if you like move a page from one site to another site, the page should adapt to the immediate environment of the targeted site to become a page of that site, including like the look and feel, the left column, the right column if there's one, the footer. Actually, where will be like contact information in the footer, and the contact information is the information belonging to stroke, not accelerator. Okay, let me delete this page. Okay, I don't want anyone to publish this page. Okay, next I want to show you some slideshows. I hope this is the fun part of it. Okay, in my Cascade admin site, RWD, and then test pages, and then slideshow. Because I am already like talking, I've been talking about for almost an hour now, so I have to be quick. Well, at least like quicken things a little. So I'll just like do this as the last demo. Okay, I want to like show you a whole bunch of pages. This page, okay, the name is slideshow bottom inner, and there's a slideshow in the bottom area. Okay, I don't want to introduce the term region just yet. Okay, so we have a slideshow in the bottom area, and I call it inner because it sits next to the left column, so it doesn't extend all the way to the left column part. And there's another page called bottom outer. This has a slideshow, but the slideshow extends, okay, to the left margin under the left column. And there are several other pages, okay, for example, outmost. So we can like have a slideshow like spanning the entire page, okay. Now I would say, okay, I think it's fair to say for many people, if not all, they will say, okay, all these pages all use like different regions to display the slideshow. So the inner will have like one region, the outer will be another region, and the outmost will be a third region. Okay, I think it's fair to say that. But actually for me, let me just like pull up one single page, okay, this inner page. Let me just like put the page in another tab so that I can edit the block. So I am looking at the page called slideshow bottom inner. And here I'm looking at the same page, but I'm going to edit the page. But actually, I'm not editing the page, okay? I'm just editing a block inside. And actually, I'm not editing that block. Instead, okay, this block has two block choosers. I'm editing the block contained inside that block. Okay, before I do any editing, okay, I want to make sure we understand each other. We are looking at a page called slideshow bottom inner. I want you to like watch out for two things. First, the size of this slideshow. Second, I want you to watch out, okay, at this line, okay, bottom inner. Now, let me change this, okay, to bottom outer. That's the only thing I'm changing, okay? I'm changing some code in an XML block from bottom inner to bottom outer. I'm not working with templates. I'm not working with regions. I'm not working with anything other than a block. Okay, I want you to understand that. Now, let me come back to the page. First, the code is changed, okay, displayed on the page. Second, the slideshow, okay, expands to the left margin. So I'm trying to like tell you, by changing the code here, I can actually like move a slideshow from one region to another region in quote, okay, quote unquote region. Also notice, okay, I am changing the code as well, the code displayed on the page. So let me just like try one more time, and this time let us try outmost. And coming back to the page, still bottom inner, okay? The code is changed. The slideshow is changed. One more time, okay? I want to move the slideshow from the bottom to the top. So let me change this value to top. I need to edit it. Not tip, top, inner, okay? And this should move the slide up to the top. And the code is also changed, okay? So I am like trying to convince you, without using regions, I can actually move things around. I can also like display the code dynamically in the middle of this page. Okay, enough time like spent on the introduction and the demo. Let us like get to the implementation part. I'm reading from my agenda. So in the implementation of the standard model, there are like several key components: data definitions, velocity library, macro name, computation, and automatic macro invocations, the script block, code templates to generate velocity code, instruction blocks and reduction of regions, site configuration, web services, coexistence of old and new. I won't talk about Java. I won't talk about JSP, okay? Just to give you an idea what I'm doing with these slideshow pages, okay? Let me just like show you the page again. But this time, let us look at a block on that page. Well, I can look at this here, okay? So in one of the block choosers, this page is attached with, okay, a single block here. This is the block that does all the magic. If you look at this block, it's a block containing two block choosers. Okay, one actually is the slideshow block, the multimedia slideshow block. So I have like two photos here. This is the slideshow block, okay? The next thing is called a script block. I will like, well, with enough time, I will talk about like script block in a second, okay? But this whole thing is called an instruction block, okay? I use the instruction block data definition associated with this block, and the block type is called instruction block. Now, I want to emphasize one thing. An instruction block is not a block containing instruction. It is not. Instead, an instruction block has two block choosers, chooser A and chooser B. Chooser A, you're supposed to attach a block to it. Well, the block to be processed. Chooser B, you're supposed to plug in instruction or instructions, okay, plural. So an instruction block has two parts, okay, the block part and the instruction part. The instruction part is what I call a script block. This is a script block, okay? So let us just like start with the data definition. A moment ago, we looked at a data definition that I created. Oh, wow. Let us just like go back to the data. Come on. Let's go back to the data definition. So daycat. Now, if you look at the data definition, I want to like show you the parts. There are three parts. The first part is what I call the block type. This is the type information associated with a data definition and all the blocks associated with this data definition. This type information will trigger the automatic invocation of macros, okay? Basically, it works this way. When I plug a block into a data definition block into a block chooser, the macro processing this block will look at this line, okay? We'll look at this, the block type information. If it is found, then it will look at the value, okay, in the block type and translate that into a macro name. Basically, process daycat. The second part, we call it the master killer. It's just a pair of radio buttons like with like checking the block. But if we like check the no value, then all the pages like containing this block will not see this block. Well, meaning we don't process the code in this block. So this is basically the way of like killing a block without detaching the block from associated pages. So you don't have to like worry about this part if you don't like it. The third part, I want to insist one thing, okay, on one thing. This name, daycat, must be used, okay, down here, suffixed by dash group. That's how my code works. So if you have something X, okay, called X for the block type, then you have like a block identifier, well, sorry, a group identifier called X dash group. Okay, that's the naming rules, okay, I must insist on. Now, actually, you have been like looking at what I call a single functional data definition, meaning a data definition supporting blocks doing one thing only. But we also have other, well, another type of data definition. Let me just pull up one to show it to you. I'm back to the master site, and I want to pull up multimedia. So in multimedia, if you like look at the code, okay, you see the block type again, and you also see the master killer. But below that, you see another group of radio buttons like controlling what group is visible using smart fields. So we have an extra element here. So let me repeat. We have the block information here, the master killer here, and then we have a group of radio buttons controlling groups below. Notice, okay, this ID assigned to this multifunctional data definition is independent from any functionality, okay? It's kind of like a summary of everything happening in the block. But this name doesn't mean any like single functionality. It's just like a coverall name. But down here, okay, we have, for example, a group called single image. Then I have a radio button, okay, with the ID single image here. Now, if you compare this ID with this ID, you see the same pattern we saw a moment ago. Single image corresponds to single image dash group. Random dash image, okay, corresponding to random dash image dash group. So you see the pattern. When you look at a single functional data definition, you have like the type information, and then there's a single group under it, and the group name, the group ID should be whatever, okay, you use in the type info, and then followed by the suffix dash group. For multifunctional data definition, well, you kind of do the same thing, okay, ignoring this one. We have like radio buttons, and then each one is associated with a functional ID, and these IDs are reused down in these groups with the suffix group. That's how I calculate what macros to invoke when you plug in a data definition block. For other block types, okay, let me put up a format. For other block types, I use some simple mechanism to calculate the, let me see, where is it? Macro. Let's see. No, not this one. Okay, for other, well, this is the macro I need to use to process all blocks. For data definition blocks, okay, this is the code, okay, process data definition block. And in this process data definition block, I just like calculate well, looking at the type information and figure out like which group is relevant to the current like context, and then invoke the macro. But if I'm dealing with other block types like, for example, text block or like script block in a second, or feed block, then I like basically like use whatever suffix, okay, supplied to me, and try to calculate the macro name and try to invoke the macro to process the block. This is like a very simple mechanism, okay, by looking at either some information embedded in a block or the name of the block, so that just to like try to invoke something. Okay, now back to the instruction block. A moment ago, I showed you, okay, there are two parts in the instruction block. Let me just go back to Cascade Min. And there are two parts to this like instruction block. The first part, a slideshow block, for example, to be processed. The second part is what I call a script block. This is an XML block attached to the instruction block. Now, this block contains format information. Now, from this point on, I hope you like to appreciate. I will like blur the boundaries between, for example, block choosers and regions on the one hand, and formats and blocks on the other. So from this point on, formats can be blocks, blocks can be formats, a region can be a block chooser can be a region. So let me just like give you some ideas how this works. A block, an example block like this, okay, contains just XML markups. But if you look closely, okay, it contains format information starting from here. This is the location of a format. So by using the locator tool, I can actually find the format. And then here, we have the name of the format. So if I can find the format, I can invoke one of the macros defined there. And optionally, I can also like pass in, okay, variable names or parameter values. So here, okay, I need to like pass in the variable name, okay, or some block I need to process. Underlyingly, this name will be attached with the $sign to turn it into a variable. This part is just a string value. Underlyingly, it will be like wrapped up using double quotes, okay, to turn it into a string. And the whole thing, okay, will be turned into velocity script and then executed by using evaluate. Okay, so when I attach a block to chooser A, and I attach, okay, this block to chooser B, my library will know, okay, what to do with the block attached to chooser A. Meaning, okay, go to this format, well, import this format, and then call this macro, and use this variable actually standing for the block attached to chooser A, and then process it. While processing it, also we need to know, okay, where to place the slideshow. Well, in the so-called region, okay, quote, okay, top inner. Actually, this faked region is actually a div with an ID. So I use the high show mechanism. Well, I have like a source div with high something, and then I also have a show something target. The template level format will move the content from high something to show something. So that part has been explained by Jay Mercer, and I don't want to like talk too much about this, okay? So basically, this value is used, okay, to indicate the ID of the high show mechanism. So I will need a high top inner and then a show top inner to make it work. Now, so this is basically the big picture. I can use a single block containing two parts, a block to be processed, and then another block, okay, containing format information to replace a region. This is the key to the understanding of how you can reduce the number of regions down to one. It's very simple, okay? The concept is simple. You basically combine, okay, a block and a format into a single block, and then you attach this block to a block chooser. Then you have basically created a region. Of course, okay, I rely on one thing, okay, you have already seen. The instruction block, meaning the data definition block containing these two blocks, must have like type information so that the process instruction block macro will be invoked automatically when I see a block like this. But other than that, you can see, okay, I basically like turn a block into a format. This is the script block. So actually, if I like if I have more time, I can like talk more about script blocks. Okay, actually, this single script block can do whatever I want to do. I don't even need the instruction block. I want to keep the instruction block to simplify things related to index blocks. Many of you should recall one thing. Okay, if you, for example, use the locator tool to locate an index block, you won't be able to see the index XML unless you use like web services. So that to like simplify things, okay, I still want to keep my instruction block so that I can see XML from an index block, so that I don't need to use like web services to like get to the XML. But other than index blocks, I can use a single script block like this to locate any block I want and then process that block in place. So I don't even need to combine two blocks, okay? I need one single block containing code like this, okay? Well, first I need the macro. Second, I need to like pass in the block path somewhere, okay? Well, as a parameter, actually. I should like pass in a block path. With the path, I can locate the block. With the macro name, I can invoke the macro to process that block. So that's how it works, okay? If you like ask me like to give you the big picture is simple. You combine a format and a block into one single entity, and then you attach that entity to a block chooser. And we're done. Now, the next question I want to answer, okay, before I run out of time. The next question is, how do I deal with like regions and block choosers? Well, I promise you, okay, at the beginning, I can actually eliminate the differences between a block chooser and a region. Well, let us ask this question, okay, what is a region? Well, a region, okay. Well, if I like just like give you a very like naive answer, okay. A region is basically an area defined on a page, okay, in which you can like show content. And underlyingly, a region is basically a means, okay, for you to pick a format and a block. And the format is supposed like to use, okay, to be used to process the block. So basically, a region has two like properties. Okay, first, it's a physical area. Okay, in which or where you show the content you create. The second thing is you tie a format and a block together. I hope that's a fair claim that this is kind of like an acceptable definition of a region. Now, I have already shown you. Okay, using the high show mechanism, you can deal with like where some content is supposed to show up without using a region. So I can safely check out this part, okay? So a region doesn't have to do with like positioning of some content. I can do that with hide and show. Then the next question is, can we do away with the tying together of two things, a block and a format? Well, I have already shown you. Using a script block, you can do that. Because in a script block, you can have format information, you can have also block information. So by using a script block or an instruction block, I can do away with regions altogether. But still, I haven't answered the question. Well, I have to eliminate the difference, okay, between a region and a block chooser. Now, let me tell you what I did. I use the same macro to process a block chooser and the same region, well, a region. I'm saying, okay, I'm using the same macro to process a region and a block chooser. So simply by this fact, okay, I'm treating a region as a block chooser. But let me step back, okay, even if I don't use the same macro, but because, okay, I can use a fixed format, attached to any region. Okay, I'm saying I can provide you a format calling that macro, and you can attach this format to all the regions at the configuration level. So it means, okay, you never pick a format, even if you use a region. You never pick a format. It's already picked. Now, is it fair to say I have eliminated the format part of the region? Well, I attach a format to it, and you're supposed to use this format wherever you use a region. Okay, I think it's fair to say the format chooser is gone because it's already occupied, and you never make a decision on what to do with it. Now, is it fair to say a region has become a block chooser? Because it's the only thing you do is to pick a block and forget about it. That's how I eliminate regions. Okay, so two reasons. Okay, first, I call the same macro to process a block chooser and a region. Second reason, even if you look at a region, okay, the format chooser is already occupied, and you're not supposed to change it or override it. You only pick a block. So a region becomes a block chooser. Now, I want to wrap up things, okay? Before I talk about the last two parts, okay? I just want to highlight something in my implementation. I try to blur the lines, okay, drawn between a format and a block, so that a format can be a block can be a format, depending on what you put inside. Actually, I have also tried out ideas like putting velocity code in a data definition block, or putting velocity code in a text block, or in a feed block. You just need to read it, okay, through a URL. Things like that. You can actually go crazy, okay, with what you want to put into a block. As long as you can put some format information into a block, you practically turn a block into a format. But on the other hand, you can also turn a format into kind of like a block containing, for example, dynamic data. Okay, for example, I can query the database and I can create a table out of a format. And then I have also given you the reasons why I can eliminate regions, okay, by turning a region into a block chooser. Well, the format chooser is already occupied. So the only thing you can do with a region is to pick a block. That's it. And actually, a block chooser and a region are processed by the same macro. This macro is called process block chooser. I will leave out the details, okay, because I'm running out of time. I want to pick up the topic, okay, how to use this, what I call the standard model, okay. I have already provided, okay, the files on GitHub so that you can download and you can look at and you can play with the two sites, okay. One is the common assets. This site, if you expand all the folders, okay, you can look at how many assets, okay, there are in this site. I just want to make sure my claim is justified, okay. This site is extremely small. You are looking at all the assets, okay, in this site. And actually, there are some assets, okay, I created just in the last few days, so that I can move code around and I can facilitate easier upgrading, an easy way to upgrade this site, okay, using web services. Otherwise, I don't even need that many blocks, for example. But this site is extremely small, okay. I want to insist that. Now, to use this site, you can download the files I gave you. Okay, this one, the seed site is actually a site driven by the master site, so you don't see any, for example, data definition, any template, anything like that in this seed site. But it's already hooked up with the master site, so that you can create site, okay, out of this seed site by using site copying. So if you want to use this site, the first thing to do is, you install the site. Second thing, you need to identify what contains upstate business logic and upstate data. I try my best to separate the two so that, for example, if you look at the velocity part, Everything starting with the ChanW's prefix is reusable by anyone in the Cascade community. So this is reusable. Anything starting with like the upstate prefix, they contain like upstate logic, they contain upstate data. So you're supposed to like use something of your own organization to replace them. Down here, I have two files, okay, custom macro list. They are placeholders. You're supposed to put in, for example, your own business logic. The first list, for example, when you create a single functional data definition, you're supposed to put the block type information here. If you do that, everything will be taken care of. Even all the macros in the middle, okay, will be generated for you. You just need to like provide a process WYSIWYG group macro. I don't want to like go into the details of this part, okay? It's too technical. And then you basically look at the site and identify, okay, what you can like keep for well reusable properties and assets and so on and so forth. What you need to replace. As long as you like stick with my rules, okay. For example, how to set up data definitions, how to name index blocks, how to name feed blocks, and so on and so forth. Everything will work. Well, I need to fix bugs and so on, okay. I promise that part. But other than like replacing the business logic, replacing the data, okay, from your organization, everything else should work. I can promise that part. So if you really want to like look at my site, okay, download it, install it, and then play around with the seed site, and you can like create pages. You can like look at like how the site configuration is done. Once you feel comfortable, then you can start replacing upstate logic, upstate data with your own logic, your own data, and then you have another like working version of the master site containing your own data, containing your own logic. But other than that, I don't see you need to like modify too many different things. Of course, if you like want to like use this design, okay, you need to understand all the technical details. Probably you need to like pick up web services so that you can like convert sites. But to make this work, you need to like replace the minimal amount of like data and logic, and it should work for you for a small site like the seed site. So I would suggest, okay, if you are interested, if you really want to like take a look at a closer look at like what I did, download the site and analyze it, cut it up, and decide, okay, whether you want to keep some of it, all of it, or whatnot. Now, I want to bring up one point again. This master site, okay, although it contains like one single core code, the velocity core, with like blocks and so on and so forth containing code, it works for templates with multiple regions. I want to insist that. So in this master site, there are actually two templates, ignoring the XML. Again, the XML is not in use. There are two templates. One is RWD, one is RWD1 region. The RWD has like 9 regions in them. So if you look at regions, okay, these are regions, okay, defined in this template. On the other hand, this template only has 1 region, but they both use the same core. So I'm saying this, okay, if you like download my site and you want to like, okay, start with the multiple region template, fine, okay, you replace it with your own template. And of course, okay, you need to, for example, write up your data definition for the page. You write up your format to process your default region. But whenever you see a block chooser, you call process block chooser. If you do that and you replace whatever you need to replace, okay, for example, site configuration, then everything else will kick in if you follow my rules, naming conventions and so on. Everything will follow naturally. So I'm saying, okay, you need to like use the site, replace the your logic, replace your data, keeping the core untouched. Then hopefully, okay, everything will at least show you the initial result. Okay, everything should work. But then, okay, of course, I mean, you need to like analyze the code, understand it, how to use this macro, how to use that macro. That's another story, okay? So to wrap up things, okay, I just want to like highlight a few things, okay, from today's presentation. I showed you, okay, how to blur the boundaries between a format and a block so that you can turn a block into a format and turn a format into a block. And then I have also like kind of like eliminate the boundaries between a block chooser and a region so that I can turn a block chooser to a region and turn a region to a block chooser. I can use instruction blocks, I can use script blocks to replace regions if you want to stick with regions, okay? I showed you like at least, okay, initially how to do that. But one important thing, okay, if you want to like use this design and like really like try it out and then like turn it into real use, then I would advise this, okay? I would advise you pick up web services. Because when you like, for example, convert a site, okay, from one design to another design, you don't want to do it manually. You want to like at least like try some simple web service code to convert pages, to convert sites, so that you don't make like manual errors. And actually, like for example, in my Cascade admin site, okay, there are almost like 1,000 pages, and I have already converted this site like 3 times in the last year. Every time I spend about 2 days converting the site using web services. Now, if you want to do it manually, it can be weeks and it can be months, okay, for you like to convert the site from one design to another design, not to say like converting it 3 times, okay, in the last few months. So web services can help a lot, but of course, I mean, that's another topic. Okay, so I think I have covered all the major areas, okay, without like giving you too much details, okay. That part I have to like ask for your like well, I have to ask for. Well, I need to apologize, okay, because I don't have enough time to cover all the details. But I will leave the remaining time for questions and answers.
Well, actually, Wing, we have 2 questions from the from the people viewing on YouTube.
Yeah.
The first one is from Tamu Web. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that right.
Okay. You are talking about the. Okay,
well,
bring me there first.
So if you go to the chat.
Chat.
Chat app.
Okay, let's see. Chat.
It's the icon in the top left.
Top left, showcase QA.
At least for me, it is right above screen share. It's blue.
Oh, okay, sure. I missed the first one.
It's okay. So let me. I'm going to paste it in right now.
Okay.
Sec. Okay.
I found technical details, but what is the URL for GitHub? Oh, sure. Can I write inside the chat to? Let me just.
You can, but people watching on YouTube can't see it, so it might be better if you just spell out the URL to your.
Okay, GitHub. Sure. Okay. It's GitHub / my name, Wing-Ming Chan, WINGMINGCHAN.
Yeah, actually, can you share your screen and show people?
Oh, sure. Okay, where's my browser? It's hidden somewhere. Now I'm getting into recursive. Oh, it's here. Okay. So this is my name. So everything is like shared on GitHub. Wing-Ming Chan. If I am to like copy this and paste it into a text editor and blow it up, this will be the URL.
And can you show everyone which repositories,
Okay,
since you
sure.
have many?
There are two. First, let me go to repositories. There are two of them. First is RWD2. Second is velocity. RWD2, well, velocity first. Velocity contains all my velocity code. Okay, macros, code appearing in XML blocks, and so on and so forth. RWT contains everything else. For example, data definition, the two CSSE files. I updated the master site just this morning. Everything else.
Great.
Okay, what else?
So John Phillips asked earlier, how is the underscore common underscore assets index block calling page set up?
Oh, okay, sure. It's set up probably slightly differently than usual. Okay, let me just bring up the block first. Calling page, right?
Correct.
Okay. I index pages and links, that's normal. Start at the current page with folder hierarchy, also with siblings. I picked this one because I use the calling page block to process both the breadcrumb, but to generate both the breadcrumb and the left menu. For the breadcrumb to work, I need the folder hierarchy. For the left menu to work, I need siblings. That's why I picked this one. I also need to include metadata so that I can control, for example, to hide something, to show something. But other than that, I would say this rendering behavior is my choice, okay, of in creating this block, because I need to generate both the breadcrumb and the left menu. Other than that, I don't see anything special here. Other questions?
So what do you see as the main advantages to using block choosers instead of regions, traditional regions?
Good question. I can't really go into the details of this. Let me just bring up the data definition again, okay, of the page. So I'm here. So I'm going to go to the data definition and bring up the page data definition. If you look at the XML, especially the last part of it, I have two groups here. One is called site config group, and the other is page config group. And I use these two groups to do site configuration and page level configuration. Now, I want to point out a few things. For example, I have assigned administrators to restrict groups. Okay, this attribute. So it means only the administrators can see this group when they edit a page. No one else can. So I'm saying, when I use this group place regions, only administrators can access these choosers, and no one else can. The second group, for example, I assign two groups, okay, to this group, administrators and CWT designers. So these two groups of people can see this group. But notice, okay, this field, this block chooser is only visible to administrators, not to CWT designers. So for CWT designers, they only see one block chooser, not two. So if you look at things like these, you will appreciate the crucial difference between using a block chooser versus using a region. First, you can label a block chooser any way you want. Okay, you can label them in some informative way. You can order them any way you want. Okay, so you don't have to observe the alphabetical order. You you can like do any order. You can group them any way you want. So you can have like one group for the admin, one group for the web team, one group for normal users, one group for the contributors, things like that. I'm saying, okay, using block choosers offers you a lot more flexibility, okay, with respect to access control, labeling, ordering, things like that. So I prefer, okay, using block choosers to regions. There's another reason that I want to like bring up. When you use regions and when you change your design, let's say from one design to another design, regions can get into the way, meaning, well, when you switch content type, okay, for example, you switch the content type associated with page from 1 to 2, okay, or from A to B, all the information, okay, related to region at the page level will be gone when you like do the manual switching content type. Of course, you can use web services to do that, but then, I mean, when you use web services, unless you use my library, if you write your own code, you still need to like deal with like blocks and formats attached to pages at the page level. But if you like use block choosers, as long as you keep the same IDs in the same configuration, meaning like starting from the top group all the way to these like identifiers, as long as you keep these things unchanged, all the data will be kept when you switch content types. So if you say, okay, a year from now, I want to like implement another like design using the same data definition, but a different template, a different CSS file, and so on and so forth, I can just like unplug the old template and plug in the new template, and everything should work. Well, of course, I need to replace the CSS file, okay? But without changing anything in the data definition, everything should work, including site configuration. That's the best part of like using choosers versus using regions.
So you have to use the same data definition, right?
If you use like a different data definition, then you need to like consider like data mapping. That's web service, okay? So you need to like map the old data to the new containers, okay? That's a huge topic I cannot like address today.
Right. Well, that makes sense. Actually, your for a minute there, your microphone was echoing, but I think it's gone now. So.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
It's weird.
Okay. Any other questions? Hey, Penny, do you have any questions?
Sorry, I had to find the unmute. Did you give any thought to, instead of having the, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you give any thought, instead of having the blocks chosen on the particular page, to having them set like at a site level?
Oh yeah, I didn't talk about that. It's about like site configuration. A moment ago, I showed the 4 block choosers for site configuration. Mm-hmm. Those 4 blocks are attached to the 4 block choosers in the base asset. So when you like create a page out of this base asset, those 4 blocks are already like attached to those block choosers, and they are only visible to administrators. That's how I deal with like site configuration.
Yeah, is there any advantage to doing that versus like just locating them based on like their path in the site?
Well, I still want to see what alternatives we can have. By doing what I did, I can like have one, well, because I have one single base asset, okay, one single page base asset, and those blocks are already like attached to those block choosers. Then no one needs to do anything with respect to site configuration, including administrators. They don't do anything with site config. And they can like create pages in any site as long as they have the same design, meaning using the same template. Everything is already configured. So they don't do anything at all. Did I answer your question?
Yes. I think we're losing your audio a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. What I'm trying to say is, once those blocks are attached to the base asset, the page asset, and you use like this page asset to create all pages, then all pages are already configured. Configured meaning it will adapt to whatever site the page is supposed to show up. So the site config part is already taken care of.
Okay, that makes sense. Did you have any thoughts of adding checking logic for null values in your
Oh, sure.
library? Do you have that?
You know, I just finished the whole thing. Well, the last part in the last 20 days or so. I didn't write my code checking things like that. I have to fine tune things, and actually I'm still in the process of finding the limits of using script blocks, what I cannot do with them. And I'm still this is on a trial and error basis. I'm trying to determine how far I can go with them.
Sure, no, I'm really interested in digging into your code and playing with it some.
And actually, I want this to be the beginning of the discussion, and everybody's welcome to join. I mean, this is not mine. Once it's out, it's out. Okay, it belongs to Cascade. I mean, the general Cascade community, and everybody's welcome to join and then contribute code and contribute ideas. It's not mine anymore.
Well, from Hannon Hill, thanks so much for doing this webinar.
Thank you for your feedback.
Yeah, actually, you know, it's funny. I'm looking at the number of viewers from YouTube as we're doing this, and you can tell it's 12 o'clock on the West Coast because a whole bunch of users, at 3 o'clock, a whole bunch of users just kind of dropped off.
Okay.
So, but this was interesting, Wing. Thanks for doing it.
Hey, Eric Gawker, any feedback from you?
I'm still wrapping my head around what you're doing. No, it's starting to click.
Okay, okay.
And I can definitely, I don't know, there seems to be some pros and cons to the way to do it. And probably the only real con that I can see. So when the person is new to Cascade and learning how to do a setup, it takes a bit more time to kind of figure it out. So, one of the things I'm always thinking about is, okay, let's imagine I decide tomorrow to take off to Fiji and don't leave any instructions. Who can follow me and then just pick up the code and then figure out what's going on.
Right.
And so on the one hand, your method has a lot of simplicity to it in that you reduce the number of configurations and so on. But it might take somebody a little bit of time to go, oh, how when I look at a page do I know what it's doing?
Yes, I absolutely agree. Actually, there's something I didn't talk about. That's actually the hard part of it. I use a lot of velocity code to generate velocity code and execute the code. That's probably the hardest part for some, for example, like beginners, to pick up. That's probably impossible.
One of the things you were showing, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a certain thing that reminded me of Ruby on Rails. Right,
true.
So when you generate a part, suddenly all these methods essentially get generated as a part of that process. And I know from personal experience, one of the humps over learning Ruby on Rails is understanding what is being generated and how to use those things, because it's all happening auto-magically,
Actually, if I'm to be honest with you, that's the major reason why I don't like Ruby. But I'm doing that. No.
Here you go, you're making this.
Yeah, I made a point, Yep.
So, that's the only thing, but it's really interesting because I can see in many ways it is far more portable. In that sense, once the developers figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
So interesting.
But instead of pushing this for not even all people, some people to use, I would rather take it this way. I would rather say, I want to start a conversation on like how to use Cascade more efficiently, this is one way, okay? And I'm claiming currently this is the best way. But okay, challenge me, okay? Propose something else, and like okay, let's like settle on like which is better, or how do we combine different models and to make it better? Let me put it this way. So I just want to start the conversation.
Yeah, I guess, well, first of all, like Eric, I'm still wrapping my head around the implementation details and also the requirements. I think there's a lot of kind of subtle requirements that you didn't say specifically or explicitly. Like for example, you have to have Jay Mercer's hide show template format set up for certain things to work. But as far as your other point about the larger conversation, I think it depends on your what's your criteria for the best implementation.
Yeah,
I think there's pros and cons. I think this might be better if you're thinking long term and switching. You're going to switch designs and templates frequently. But I can see Eric Gorka's point about training users and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's hard for the administrators and the developers, like building the infrastructure on top of Cascade. But the end users, I'm talking about like site managers, they don't see anything. They don't see any of this. So I've been like changing my paradigm, roughly, okay, from non-responsive to responsive version 1, and then from 1 to 2.1 to from 2.1 to 2.2. No one noticed anything because they don't see what is happening behind the scene. As far as like end users, I'm talking about like site managers, okay? As far as they are concerned, they don't see any of this. So I won't worry about them. I will worry about the developer or developers, okay, working with my code, working with like the setup and things like that. That part is the hard part for a few people.
I can definitely see that. I know, well, the way we work here is we have a handful, very small, like 3 or 4 developers who are actually doing any velocity coding or things like that. So any hump that I'm seeing is on their part. So, I'm actually not worried about the end users. I can understand how, from their point of perspective, it wouldn't be that much different. But thinking, more in terms of my replacement, should I Fiji? I like that kind of analogy, or the hit by a bus sort of idea. But but that's overhead is then on a very small group of people, admittedly.
Well, that's probably like I should say, okay, part of the reason why I want to get this out, because I'm the only developer here who understands like what is going on and it's in use, okay, in production. I really want to get it out, at least, okay, Helen Hill like knows, okay, what I've been doing. When something goes wrong, when I'm hit by a bus or something, at least someone can like step in.
So we need to back you up, is what you're saying.
Yep.
So Wayne, what would you say what would be the first step for someone trying to familiarize themselves with your system?
If you really want to like get through the whole thing, I would say start with my velocity tutorial, because it so much depends on, for example, evaluate. You have to understand evaluate thoroughly before you can make sense of the code, because I use evaluate everywhere. So that's a must. You have to like be able to like to handle evaluate, how to create code out of like a string and then like turn it into code and then execute it. You have to like be able to handle that. And beyond that, then you have to like wrap around, okay, well, conceptually, okay, C blocks as formats and C formats as blocks, block choosers as regions, regions as like block choosers. You have to get around like these things like conceptually. so that you are not stuck with, okay, this is a blog. How do I process a blog? I need a format. No, you don't necessarily need a format to process a blog. You can start with a format to process a format, okay, if you want to, or use a blog to process a format, okay, if you want to. So you have to get around like conceptually, okay, because I'm like twisting things so much. Things be kind of like shapeless in a way. So you have to get used to like this way of like dealing with Cascade. And actually, I want to point out one thing, okay? This is actually happening right now. If you look at formats, okay, Cascade, I mean Hannon Hill, plans to like expand the power of formats, okay, velocity formats, to enable the locator tool to grab indexed XML.
Hmm.
So they are using a format to replace index blocks. That's happening right now. So if they can do that, why can't I? So, so if you can get around like conceptually, okay, a block can be a format can be a block, a region like can be a block chooser can be a region, then everything else should follow quite naturally, provided you understand the code I wrote with like code templates, with evaluate, things like that. Then I would say the next step would be, okay, look at the site, analyze every piece of it. There are not too many assets, okay? You see everything, okay? About like 10, 15 like formats, and then some blocks, 2 templates. That's about it, okay, about the site. You analyze everything, try to piece everything together, try to make sense of like how this piece, okay, relates to that piece. Because the site is so small, I hope, okay, once you get beyond, okay, the technical difficulty of like evaluate, okay, then everything should be relatively easy to understand. Of course, I mean, you still need to like overcome the concept of using code template, okay, meaning using velocity code to generate velocity code and execute it. That part you also need to overcome. But beyond that, I would say shouldn't be too, well, I would say the initial part is the most difficult part. But once you get beyond that, then once you get into the site, it shouldn't be too hard to understand.
Great. Well, I'll definitely play around with it a little bit and let you know if I have any questions.
Well, as I said, start with my tutorial and look closely at evaluate. Try to make sure you understand evaluate and how it works. Then look at my code.
Can you tell us again what the minimum version of Cascade for implementing this is?
Well, check with Penny, but I don't think it depends on any version.
Because you said that you had some issues with anything below 7.10, right?
Yeah, I would say that the import tool like only works in a certain version.
I don't use the import tool. Okay, about the 7.10 issue, it's related to Oracle. Before 7.10.1, Oracle and Cascade 7.10 below don't work together with velocity. But after 7.10.1, it's fixed. So I would say it shouldn't be a major problem for most people. First, you need to use Oracle. Second, you must like use 7.10 or below. So I don't think it's a major issue. But other than that, everything else should be like version independent.
You would need the ability to import a site though to import your site.
You don't have to. You can run a web service script. Remember, you did that. I can provide you a web service script, okay, to generate the master site. So you don't have to do that. Actually, because, okay, you know that when you install a site and if you put it in use, you cannot delete the site and re-import the site again. You cannot do that because everything is already hooked up. So the only thing to upgrade a site is to use web services. And I'm working on this part so that once, for example, okay, let's say, okay, optimistically, okay, you are using my common asset site, and sometime later, okay, 3 months from now, I want to like upgrade my core. Well, the only way for you to upgrade the code is either, okay, to do it manually, meaning, okay, go to GitHub, find the file, grab the code, paste it into your site. Or second, I provide you a script, web service script, you run it, then everything will be updated. I opt for the second one, okay? It's a lot easier if you can handle web services. And I do that, I mean, well, locally at Upstate, okay, I don't do that because I can use web services to sync, okay, from one site to another site across 2 instances. I'm syncing sites, okay, I'm not updating anything, okay. But for you guys, okay, you cannot like access our Cascade instance because it's behind the firewall. The only thing you can do, okay, is to well, I can supply you, for example, data with the program, and then you run your program and upgrade everything. But there's something interesting I'm working on right now. I am actually publishing the code from Cascade to our web server. Code meaning velocity code, XML code. So I can actually publish, okay, velocity formats. I can publish XML data definition. I can publish templates. I need to query the database directly to pull out templates, for example. And then I can publish them as pages with the URLs, okay, coded into my web service program. You can run the program, read the data from Upstate, and then update everything on your end. I'm working on that.
Cool.
Hey, Penny, more questions?
No, I have to rush off to a meeting in 2 minutes.
Oh, okay,
So thanks again for sharing. It's really
it's
been
time to wrap up. Yep.
It's been very educational for me.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Wing. This was great. There are no more questions from the YouTube.
That's something I really want to like say it to you guys. Today's presentation is not too well organized because of too many topics, too short a time for me to like squeeze in everything, and I've been like modifying my agenda again and again every day in the last few days, just trying like to squeeze in everything. But I would say that the end result is far from like ideal because I mean too many things are left out. But fortunately, Erik Espana and I did the detailed discussion, so everything is already recorded. So hopefully that helps a little. But the whole thing is so technical. Honestly, it's hard for like a normal like beginners like to pick up. I agree, absolutely agree with like Eric Gorka. Okay, it's not for some beginners. Okay, it's not for them.
That's okay, Wade. It's still worth talking about it and
yeah.
sharing.
As I said, I want to start the conversation. I mean, the end result, I don't really care anymore.
Sure.
Well, definitely. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Okay. Well, let me stop recording here.
Okay.